Actually, your topic will be because we have completed your this thing, upper limb completed, lower limb completed, upper limb completed by some other stuff, and the accessory topics also some of them we have covered. And now today again we will discuss one another topic, which is a pressure ulcer, pressure source. You know pressure sore? Pressure sore is nothing but a bed sore. Anyone is aware of pressure sore? Aware or not? Pressure sore, bed sore. You need to talk. You need to respond. Anyone is aware of any bed sore? Have you heard the word bed sore, pressure sore? Pressure sore. So it is nothing but nothing but an ulcer. Of course, you must be knowing ulcer at least. Can you define ulcer? What is ulcer? Because the pressure sores are the nothing but ulcers, which are localized areas of tissue necrosis that tends to occur when soft tissue is compressed between a bony prominence and an external surface for a prolonged period. Are you able to understand this sentence? So these are nothing but the pressure ulcers which are formed because of tissue necrosis, because of death of the tissue. When tissue death occurs because of mainly especially lack of blood supply. Okay. So that is one main thing. That leads to necrosis. So which occurs in a soft tissue when it occurs when there will be a lack of soft tissue vascular supply. Whenever there is a soft tissue compression between a bony prominence and external surface in the bed for a prolonged period of time, that leads to an ulcer. It is called a pressure sore or pressure ulcer or bed sore. I think now you are clear about the pressure sore. Is it? So these lesions are also called as bed sores, decubitus ulcers, as well as pressure sores. So many different names are there. And 1/3 of the patients undergoing surgery, especially when we come to orthopedic point of view, 1/3 of the patients who are going for hip fracture may develop a pressure sore. And the longer the patient stays in a nursing home, and greater the likelihood of developing a pressure sore. Of course, even in the house also, if the patient is bedridden, so definitely patient will develop pressure sore. So in order to deal that pressure sore, the first thing is avoiding prevention. Prevention of pressure sore is the most important aspect when you are treating a patient after admission. It is a part of not only the doctors, even nurses also, attending nurses also. So monitoring nurses, interns especially, because especially this is a part which is to be taken care by interns, because you are also going to enter into the internship into another 1 or 2 years. So 2 years. So you must be able to deal, and along with the cooperation of the nursing staff. Then, so what are the various factors which will influence the formation of pressure sore? Especially skin surface interface. That is the first thing. Skin and surface. Surface in the sense of bed or cot, whatever it is. If the skin is not good, skin is fragile, especially in the old patients. And skin is somewhat lack of blood supply, and another predisposing factors are there. That when comes in contact with a long time for a hard surface, then it leads to develop some sort of heat as well as next formation of ulcer. So thermodynamic factors these are called. And as the temperature increases, what is the mechanism in this? As the temperature increases, skin becomes more metabolically active and oxygen supply demand also needed. here is a principle. Okay. So with the increased pressure, metabolic demands not able to be met and skin become hypoxic. Yes, here because of the increased interface between the skin and surface, temperature develops. Temperature develop means definitely oxygen demand increases. Along with this increased pressure on the surface, the metabolic demands are not able to be met and skin become hypoxic. Hypoxic skin is more susceptible to breakdown. That is the reason. So this is a theory for the formation of pressure sore, which you should remember, very important. And adding a friction and shearing force to already fragile skin is the perfect storm. Yes. This is the important. Here in this slide is very important, where you got so much information. Along with this increased temperature, increased pressure, required oxygen, increased demand, and later hypoxic, and then more as well as adding the friction as well as shearing force, all together will lead to pressure sore. So this is the relationship between thermodynamics, metabolism, and pressure sore. Next, coming to what are the forces. So here the force applied to the soft tissue between hard surface and a bony prominence. Simple. When skin and underlying tissues are trapped between bone and a surface such as a wheelchair or bed, blood flow is restricted. This deprives tissue of oxygen and other nutrients and leads to tissue death. Yeah. Now this is easy to understand. So next force is after the pressure, the important force is the friction. So here the resistance of one body sliding or rolling over another. Yes. That make the skin more susceptible to pressure sore. Resistance of one body sliding or rolling over another. So patient cannot roll himself. So we must do that job. We must log roll the patient to that side, this side to prevent the pressure sore. So that is friction force. Okay. Next. So this is an example where the pressure and friction will increase. See here, whenever the patient is sitting on this like chair or something bed, see what are the parts that are coming in contact more with the high pressure, especially bony prominence. See, scapular region is coming, as well as this hip region is coming, and LS spine, especially sacral part is coming more in contact. So that leads to increased pressure. So friction also. Finally, that leads to tissues will become like this. So from the top, pressure is getting applied, the inside friction will be more. So the tissues under pressure, what happens? So body weight will be totally fallen on the bone as well as soft tissue. Then leave bone and leads to say decreased increased pressure, and even one side the body weight will increase the pressure, other side the mattress or bed surface from below it also increase the pressure. So ultimately that leads to the tissue necrosis, hypoxia. Simple thing. And other force that is the shear force. This occurs when skin moves in one direction and the underlying bone moves in another direction. This is also an important factor in formation of the pressure sore. Suppose if the skin moves in one direction, underlying bone moves in another direction. So irregular movement of the skin of the patient. Sliding down in a bed or chair or raising the head of the bed more than 30 degrees is especially likely to cause shearing force. Remember, sliding down in a bed or chair or raising the head of the bed more than 30 degrees. That is for prolonged time. It leads to increased shearing force, which stretches and tears the cell walls and tiny blood vessels. Especially affected areas such as tailbone, nothing but the coccyx, sacrum, where skin is already thin and fragile. That is the shear force. Another force is the strain, the tissue deformation in response to pressure. That is nothing but the strain. So now what are the four forces that are acting to cause the pressure sore? Just now we discussed. Tell me now. Any one of you? You must
Pressure,
tell.
friction, shear, and strain, sir.
Yes. These are the four important forces. Okay. Now, coming to the pathophysiology of this, a prolonged weight bearing and mechanical shear forces act on areas of soft tissue overlying the bony prominence. That leads to when this pressure exceeds normal capillary perfusion pressure of 32 millimeters of mercury. Yes, prolonged weight bearing and the mechanical shear on the bed or this thing that leads to increase in the pressure. Capillary perfusion pressure is normally 32, but it leads to more than that, which leads to occlusion and tearing of small blood vessels. That leads to reduced tissue perfusion, so it leads to ischemic necrosis and results in pressure sore. This is the brief mechanism of pathophysiology. Okay. Now, risk factors. What are the risk factors? Yes, of course. Older people, they will be having fragile skin, thin skin, and making them more susceptible to damage from minor pressure. They have less natural cushioning over their bone. As the soft tissue, gelatin, collagen, everything will become absorbed by the time 80 reaches 70, 80. And poor nutrition delays that leads to wound healing. That leads to delay wound healing. And lack of pain perception. Yes, most of the people they will be having back injuries or back pain or vertical compression pain fractures unknowingly and spinal column back pain. Many people, almost more than 60% of elderly individual will be having back pain. So all these things will lead to some spinal cord pressure on the spinal cord, and that cause loss of sensation and bed sore is formed. Next. So natural thinness and weight loss. Muscle atrophy and wasting are common in people living in paralytic position. If people are paralyzed, naturally there will be a muscle wasting, definitely. And if you lose fat and muscle, there is no cushion over your bones. That is important. Next, malnutrition. So pressure sores develop if you have a poor diet, especially one deficient in protein, zinc, vitamin C. Understand? Protein, zinc, vitamin C. So nowadays this got very importance, high importance, because many people they are aware, even normal people also, because of the what? Because of what? Use minimum logical thinking. Why nowadays everyone is aware of this protein, zinc and vitamin C? What is the reason? Because of this COVID pandemic, that is people are much aware of taking protein, zinc and vitamin C. That's why everyone required to take this. That also helps in prevention of the pressure sores. So next, urinary fecal incontinence. Problems with the bladder control can greatly increase the risk of pressure sores because skin stays moist, making it more likely to break down. And bacteria from fecal matter not only can cause a serious local infection, but also can lead to life-threatening systemic complications such as sepsis, gangrene, and rarely necrotizing fasciitis, a severe and rapidly spreading infection. So that urinary fecal incontinence in elderly people leads to so many conditions, debilities, morbidities as well as mortality also. Remember. Other medical conditions like diabetes. Diabetic people are more and more vulnerable to pressure sores, and vascular disease affecting circulation leads to tissue damage. Smoking. Yes, another risk factor is the smoking, which smokers tend to develop more severe wounds and heal more slowly, mainly because nicotine impairs circulation and reduces the amount of oxygen in the blood. Understand? Especially boys, be careful about smoking. I don't know. Few may be having that habit of smoking. even in your student life also. So remember that leads to so many complications. Among these, this is also one important complication. So decreased mental awareness. People whose mental awareness is lessened by the disease, trauma, medication, or some injury, some tumors in the brain, they are often less able to take the actions needed to prevent care for the pressure sore. So the risk factors include spinal cord injuries, traumatic brain injuries, neuromuscular disorders, immobility for long time, malnutrition, fecal and urinary incontinence, altered level of consciousness, chronic systemic illness, fractures, aging of the skin, and decreased pain perception. These are the most important risk factors along with the diabetes and other conditions. Okay, remember this. The pressure sore is one of the important regular practical topic as well as your theory also. So what are the common sites? The common sites are mainly, see in the diagram, pressure ulcers commonly occur over the, see wherever there is a more pressure is acting, especially in the sacral region, greater trochanter region, ischial tuberosity, malleolar region, heel, fibular head, scapula, sacrum, coccyx, all these things. So these are the common sites for the pressure sores. So when patient is lying down, when patient is sitting like this for long time in 30 degrees decubited position, it leads to pressure sore of head, shoulder, sacrum, buttock, heel. So this is also in this position. These are the most common points or most common sites for the pressure sores. So behind that is one diagram. And coming to the classification, stage 1. If ulcer started formation started, then stage 1, which is a more superficial and non-blanchable, just redness will be seen, and it does not subside after pressure is relieved also. And the skin may be hotter or cooler than normal and have an added texture and perhaps be painful to the patient. This is stage 1 condition. So where the only epidermal part will be somewhat involved. Stage 2, it is a damage to the epidermis extending into, but no deeper than the dermis. Yes, it damages the epidermis, but extends up to the dermis also. But it does not go beyond the dermis at the stage 2. In this stage, ulcer may be referred to as blister or abrasion. Yes. If a patient develops some sort of redness, then you can classify into, in the normal skin also, in a bedridden patient into stage 1. If you see a blister-like thing or abrasion, you can consider this as a stage 2 ulcer. Then stage 2, this is the stage 2. Yes, that is also a stage 2 abrasion part. Stage 3, which involves the full thickness of the skin and may extend into the subcutaneous tissue. It means the epidermis, dermis, and others are below that subcutaneous tissue also involved. This layer has a relatively poor blood supply and can be difficult to heal. Yes. So this is the stage 3 stage. The ulcer manifests clinically as a deep crater with or without undermining of the adjacent tissue. That is the stage 3. Okay. Stage 4. Stage 4 is the deepest, extending into the muscle, tendon, or even bone. Muscle, tendon, or even bone. So full thickness tissue loss with exposed bone, tendon, muscle, all are involved. So up to the bone also in stage 4. Slough or issue may be present on some parts of the wound bed, often include undermining and tunneling of the ulcer. Depth varies according to anatomic location and exposed usually directly visible and palpable. Bone tendon or bone is easily exposed and palpable and visible. Stage 4. These are stage 4. Coming to the complications that they lead to cellulitis. First thing is cellulitis, which causes pain, redness, swelling, all of which can be severe. Yes. What are the clinical signs of cellulitis? Important, because you will come across suddenly cellulitis will develop for some patients. So these are pain, redness, swelling, all of which can be severe, and cellulitis can also lead to life-threatening complications including sepsis and meningitis. So bone and joint infection, other complication is the bone and joint infection. Nearby joint will be infected, and because of the sore, the involved bone will be infected. These develop when the infection from a bed sore burrows deep into the joint or bones. A joint infections can damage cartilage and tissue, whereas bone infections may reduce the function of joints and limbs. Sepsis. Sepsis occurs when bacteria enters the bloodstream through the broken skin. Sepsis occurs when bacteria enters bloodstream through the broken skin and spreads throughout the body. A rapidly progressing life-threatening condition that can cause shock and organ failure. See, this is most important most dangerous complication that may happen in bed sore if neglected. So that leads to shock and organ failure. And cancer. This is usually aggressive carcinoma. Suppose if the ulcer, bed sore ulcer not treated for prolonged time, repeated irritation is going on, so that leads to some sort of skin cancer or this squamous cell carcinoma and basal cell carcinoma like this. But among these, the squamous cell carcinoma is common. So these are all complications. And how you diagnose. Check the nutritional status every day. First, every day you need to check the nutritional status and the overall health of the patient. Depending on the circumstances, they have other effects. Wound swab should be taken if you see any sort of ulcer, abrasion, or anything. Immediately you need to take the wound swab for culture sensitivity. And the incision biopsy, if you suspect some malignancy, you have to go for incisional malignancy, incision biopsy. So treatment, how you treat the bed sores, it is a challenging thing, really challenging thing, because once prevention is important and easier thing than the treatment for the bed sore. Once bed sore is found, means all if the patient is having any risk factors like diabetes, hypertension, rheumatoid, this and all, immunodepression, taking corticosteroid, all these things means definitely you cannot treat. You are not able to treat the bed sore in the stages. That's why taking preventive measures is the most important. Open wounds are slow to heal, and because skin and other tissues have already been damaged or destroyed, healing is never perfect. Healing is never perfect. Remember this word. So it requires a multidisciplinary approach. That's what I told you initially. It requires an approach from the nurses, a physician, social workers, physical therapist, urologist, gastroenterologist, because urologist, a patient may develop urinary incontinence and that leads to the problem. And gastroenterologist and neurosurgeon, because patient may lack of this thing like sensation because of some spinal disorders, that this brain injury and all those things. And orthopedic surgeon and a plastic surgeon. So these are so many people should be involved. And that's why you need to try. You have to prevent the bed sore. That is important thing. Whenever patient is admitted under you or in your ward. So the treatment objectives include identification of problem first. Next, debridement of necrotic tissue. Moist wound care without maceration. Yes, that is most important. Wound care should be taken. Wound should be moist only. Should keep moist wound part, but without any maceration. Because if you keep on drying, also it leads to ulcer skin. And control of infection and management of pain pressure redistribution, offloading, and choice of wound care products is individual preference as long as above objectives met. Yes, pressure redistribution is also important. So, first coming to the conservative management, although it may take some time, most stage 1 and stage 2 bed sores will heal within weeks with conservative measures. But the stage 3 and stage 4 wounds, which are less likely to resolve on their own, may require surgery. So, how you manage or how you prevent? First thing is the changing the position of the patient. Carefully follow the schedule for turning and repositioning of the patient for every 15 minutes. Once the bed sore is formed, your work will be more. So you need to do more work and spend more time with the patient and all, because you have to do log rolling for every 15 minutes, and if in a wheelchair, and at least once in every 2 hours when patient is in the bed. If unable to change the position or on own, a family member or a caregiver or nurse must be able to develop. And the next one is the using support surfaces. These are the special cushions, pads, mattress, beds that relieve the pressure on the existing sore and help protect vulnerable areas like bony sacral areas and all. Okay. So, what other support measures you take? Because commonest thing, you have to keep the properly cushioned pillows under the bony prominences like the heel and all. As well as you have to keep things like gloves, latex gloves, you have to fill with some water or some other material, and just tie it and keep under the pressure areas like heel, sacrum and all. And that is also one important thing. So pressure redistribution. What do you mean by this? So the distribution of the pressure should be equal on the entire surface. So not like over the bony prominences, definitely pressure will be more. That we are going to redistribute. So see some example. These are the different aids, methods of prevention of pressure, and to redistribute the pressure. So see the type of mattress here. These are pressure sore bed. This is one type of bed where a thermal machine is attached, like a pneumatic bed. And these are also some sort of cushioning is applied. So for diabetic patients, especially to increase the blood supply, the mattress surface should be like this. So these are important things. So which are very important. Nowadays easily available also. And third point is the cleaning. Cleaning, it's essential to keep the wound clean to prevent the infection. That's a part of you as well as intern and as well as attending nurse also. So it should be clean. A stage 1 wound can be gently washed with water and mild soap. So stage 1 means what? What is stage 1? Anyone? What is stage 1? Already discussed. You must answer.
It is present only superficial, sir. Epidermis is involved.
That's
non-blanchable redness, sir.
That's all. It appears to be red. That's all. Nothing else. So, but our open sore should be clean with the salt water. That is the mild sore. But open sore should be cleaned with the saline. Each time the dressing is changed. Avoid antiseptics such as hydrogen peroxide, iodine, because in normal skin, just the skin is reddened and you don't put the hydrogen peroxide. And only just small ulcer is formed, like abrasion, which is clean, not infected, no debris, nothing. Don't put hydrogen peroxide. It causes more harm. It increases the more tissue necrosis, leading to further increase in the pressure. So, which can damage sensitive tissue. And another one is the fourth factor is the controlling of the incontinence, which is most important thing. Already I told you the fecal and urinary incontinence, how it leads to different types of shock and multiple organ failure. So that prevention of controlling of incontinence is very important. So which should be done by a neurosurgeon or training physician. Next, number 5 is the removal of the damaged tissue and debridement. That is a part of surgeon or orthopedician or plastic surgeon. Here it should be properly, wound needs to be free of damage, dead, necrotic, infected tissue. So you must do debridement. That is called debridement. This can be accomplished in several ways. One is by conservative method or surgical method. Autolytic debridement is by autolysis within the body own enzymes. If the patient immunity is good, patient is developing already so many immunity factors and antibodies, then definitely autolytic autolysis will take place. Biological debridement, where that is not practicable. Before they used to send the maggots into the skin, and that maggots eat away all the debrided tissue, but that is not practicable nowadays anyway. And the chemical debridement, especially enzymatic debridement like papain. So many ointments are available, creams containing papain enzyme. So we can apply this. And the mechanical debridement, like sharp debridement, is a removal of the necrotic tissue. That is surgical debridement, which should be done in operation theatre. Sharp debridement is a removal of the necrotic tissue with a scalpel or similar instrument. And surgical debridement, it takes a long time. I mean, not only the skin. If it is stage 2 and stage 3, if it is stage 3 and stage 4, then we try to debride all the skin, superficial tissue, deep tissue, muscle. Some part of muscle also should be debrided. And next one is the another important nowadays recently evolving one is the ultrasound assisted wound therapy. So not only these, for prevention of these blood sores, nowadays the advanced technique, of course, it is just into decades, but it become limelight now. That is the ozone therapy. Ozone also will do proper healing, very very proper healing, and regular dressings. Wound is infected, oral antibiotics, and healthy diet. As I told you, protein diet, zinc as well as all should be given, and muscle spasm relief, and educating the caregiver. These are important things. Surgical repair by, of course, proper surgical repair should be done whenever there is a tissue deficiency, necrosis, wound is healed well, but skin loss is there or some tissue loss is there. Then you have to go for proper surgical repair by tissue flap, free flap, negative pressure wound therapy, all these things. Other treatment options include the hyperbaric oxygen therapy. Hyperbaric oxygen, of course, not available in all the areas, especially even in our metro city like Hyderabad. Also, hyperbaric oxygen is not at all available in many places. Only 2 or 3 places it is available. Especially hyperbaric oxygen therapy will be for separate unit will be there, which is costly, and a separate room will be there for that. And usually the military hospital people, they'll keep, especially in large cities and large areas where many time border areas, sometimes they construct hospitals, and they keep the hyperbaric oxygen because of wounds, because of bullet wounds and all. Whenever a patient admitted, they keep in hyperbaric oxygen to prevent the infection. So here also, I think only in our military hospital somewhere and 1 or 2 private corporate hospitals in hyperbaric oxygen is available here also. And the next one is electrotherapy. And nowadays we use human growth factors also. Human growth factors like so many tissues is there, placenta extract, placentrex, all these things. So as I told you earlier, prevention is the most important in case of bed sore rather than treating. Treating is a big headache, and prevention is the easiest thing in this case. So bed sores are easy to prevent than to treat, but that doesn't mean the process is easy or uncomplicated. Although wounds can develop in spite of taking proper care, in spite of utmost care also, some people will develop pressure sores. So beds because of diabetes and loss of concentration, all those things. So position changing is the first thing, as I told you. You have to consistently change the position of the patient regularly. Experts advise shifting the position of the patient about every 15 minutes. That you are in a wheelchair. Yes, I told you already. But if the patient is on a bed, every 2 hours once you have to shift the patient. Please turn that side and this side you turn. That's called log rolling. Just turn like a stick. don't bend. Suppose the patient is having some sort of spinal cord injury and all, don't do regularly. Turn the patient like a stick. That side, this side. Patient should be straight and you must change the position. Skin inspection. Daily inspection of the skin is very important. Proper nutrition and lifestyle changes like quitting of the smoking and daily exercise, all these things to supplement. So these are about pressure. So you have to read all these pressure source important things. What are the things we are going to read in pressure source?